Hello everyone, welcome back to the tutorials again. So today we are going to discuss with module 1 and lecture 2, lecture number 3 of module number 1. So in lecture number 2 we have discussed about methods of RCC design and what exactly we are going to study in this particular unit. So I will just revise it. So these three are the methods of uh, designing RC structure or RC element, that is working stress method, ultimate load method, limit state method. So in working stress method we are going to use the linear behavior of the material, but in ultimate load we are using the ultimate strength of the material. So with this diagram I have explained all the things. So till here strength of the material we are going to use in working stress method, till here we are using in ultimate load method. But there is problem with working stress method is we are underutilizing the material. The problem with uh, ultimate load method is we are overutilizing the material. So in between these two we are somewhere caring about the serviceability and somewhere caring about the safety, and we are arriving at a method called limit state method. So in this method there are two limits which are applied generally. So there are two limit states which are applied generally. So those limit states are limit state of collapse and limit state of serviceability. So limit state of collapse deals with bending, torsion, shear, etc. And limit state of serviceability deals with uh, additional torsion or some uh, bending, etc. So you can see this method is very much properly utilizing the material. Okay, so you can observe here in limit state of collapse we are going to deal with bending, shear and torsion and axial loads, but in limit state of serviceability we are going to deal with deflection and cracking. Sorry, I have said about bending and additional torsion, so it's not the case. So we are going to deal about deflection and cracking for service loads. Okay, so in limit state of collapse, in your syllabus limit state of collapse is given. In that we are specifically going to study about the torsion. Okay, so today we are going to study with the torsional topic and we are going to move further. You can see over here, so type of torsion. So what are the different types of torsion we are going to study? So torsional movements are of two types. First one is primary or equilibrium torsion and second one is secondary or compatibility torsion. So you can see how this torsional movement or torsion is generated in a structure. So before moving to exactly the types and understanding the types, we'll see how this torsion is generated. So you can see, first of all, let us think that this is x-axis and this is y-axis frame. So when the z-axis or when from other direction there is some structural element which is getting connected to this frame, you can see here additional movement is generated over here because of this beam. So this is called as secondary torsion. So in secondary torsion, you can see in case of L beam supporting cantilever sunshades. So sunshades are very much common example for L beams. So or else canopies we can take. So it is a primary torsion. So what is the meaning of primary torsion and what is the meaning of secondary torsion? You can see this is secondary torsion which is getting induced in the beam, but you can see this is due to an additional structural element. If I consider only this x-axis and y-axis frame, there won't be any torsion over here, but as this additional frame is getting connected to this node, this is going to induce some additional torsion, and that torsion is called as secondary torsion. It is due to external or it is due to additional structural member. But you can see this in L-shaped beam, there is no additional structural member. There is no beam which is getting connected from other side, and there is no any additional structural member. But due to the cantilever behavior of the structure, there is some torsion which is getting induced, because when we apply load here it will this portion will try to bend like this, and there will be some torsion which is getting induced over here. So this is called as primary torsion. Primary torsion is nothing but it is due to the self of a RC structure. It's not due to any additional or any other structural members. Okay, we will move further. Edge beams. So in edge beams, what is going to happen is, so there is only a load from one side, so other side will be empty. So there is only load from one side, other side will be empty, so due to which some torsional movements are going to generate, and it is called as secondary torsion. In curved beams, as the curving behavior is, as the member is curved, behavior will be going to induce some amount of torsion, and it is called as primary torsion. So you can see edge beams are secondary torsion. Why? Because there is no torsion if we consider the beam individually, but when we connect the slab from one side, there will be some torsion which is going to get induced from the slab. So it is an other structural member which is inducing it. Here also you can see there is other structural member which is inducing the torsion on a beam. So this is a as it is, the shape is curved, automatically the torsion will be induced. So it is due to self. That's why it is called as primary torsion. Similarly, you can see this is a curved slab which is provided. So due to which also the primary torsion is going to get induced. So we'll move back to the types of torsion. So we have studied how the primary and how the secondary torsion is going to get induced in a structure. Primary torsion is also called as equilibrium torsion. Secondary torsion is also called as compatibility torsion. So primary torsion is required for basic static equilibrium of most of the statically determinate structure. According to this, torsional movement must be considered in the design. So remember, if it is a primary torsion, we must consider this in the design if it is a primary torsion. If it is a secondary torsion, or if it is the torsion which is required to satisfy the compatibility condition between two members, so if it is a secondary torsion, then no specific design for this torsion is necessary. So this is as per our codal provisions. So further you can see what are the code provisions which say about the torsional consideration. In a structure where the torsion is required to maintain the equilibrium, that is primary torsion. Wherever there is a primary torsion in a structure, member shall be designed for torsion in accordance with 41.2, 41.3 and 41.4. So these are the IS 456 clauses. So according to this clause, I am going to discuss about these clauses in detail, but just I am briefing it. So with these clauses, we have to design the structure. So adequate control of any torsional cracking is provided by shear reinforcement as per clause number 40. So clause number 40 should also be used while designing or while providing the shear reinforcement to provide the control of any torsional cracking. So due to torsion, there are some cracks which are going to arrive, and to prevent that, we have to use this clause. So I am going to discuss about this torsional cracking further. You can see behavior in a torsion. So this is a normal beam. Let us think that this is a cantilever beam. So shear stresses in this cantilever beam will be like this. But these are the principal stresses. So due to the application of torsion, this beam will try to twist, and cracks are going to occur in this particular shape. So this is called as torsional cracking. So crack pattern is of helical shape. So due to cracking, helical shaped torsion cracks are going to occur. Helical shaped torsion cracks are going to occur. So they can be present on all the four faces. You can see this is a bottom face, this is side face, front face and other side face. So on all these side faces the torsional cracks are going to arrive. So this is about the phrase information it is given. So this type of cracking behavior is there when the torsion is induced. So to prevent that, we have to use clause number 40 from IS 456 2000. So whenever there is some torsion which is induced in the structure, how to analyze for that torsional moment in a beam? So how to find out that torsional moment in a beam? So analysis is very simple. Bending moments are distributed among the sharing members. So moment distribution method, another method you have already studied. So based on that, this bending moment is distributed among the sharing members with corresponding to their distribution factor. So this DF, distribution factor, you have already studied, proportional to their bending stiffness, that is EI by L. So this bending moment is going to get distributed in this manner. Similarly, these torsional moments are also going to get distributed. So based on some factor, these torsional moments are going to get distributed. Okay, so we will move further. Approach of design for combined bending, shear and torsion as per IS 456. So as per IS 456, how to design? Actually, what and all things we have studied, how the member behaves in a torsion. So you can see the sequence, how the member behaves in a torsion. After that, how to analyze the torsional movement in any member. So how to analyze it we have studied. So how to design it, what is the design approach when there is combined bending, shear and torsion as per IS 456 we are going to approach. So we have studied the behavior, we have studied the analysis, and now we are studying the design parameter. So mainly in your syllabus, design of combined bending, shear and torsion is given. So that's why I have not concentrated on analysis part much. So you can see, as per stipulations of IS 456, the longitudinal and transverse reinforcements are determined taking into account the combined effect of bending moment, shear force and torsional moment. So we have to consider a combined effect of bending moment and shear force. Normally we consider a effect of bending moment and shear force, so we won't consider torsional moment in many of the cases. But when the torsion is induced, this torsional moment is also to be considered. So based on this consideration, we have to find out longitudinal and transverse reinforcement. So longitudinal reinforcement means main reinforcement, transverse reinforcement means shear reinforcement. So generally, if you know about designing a beam, so longitudinal and transverse reinforcement you will be able to understand. Longitudinal means main reinforcement, torsional means shear reinforcement. So second point you can observe here, two empirical relations of equivalent shear and equivalent bending are given. So this torsional moment is converted to equivalent bending and equivalent shear force. So in additional to normal bending and normal shear force, additional movement, that is equivalent bending moment, and additional shear, that is equivalent shear, will be added. So I will just brief it. Torsional movement means what? Torsional, how to consider this torsional movement? We are going to convert this torsional movement in a bending movement and shear force, and we are going to call them as a additional bending movement and additional shear force. They are additives for this bending movement and shear force. So how to convert this? What are the clauses which are given? I will explain further. There are separate functions of actual shear and torsion and actual bending and torsion respectively. So separately consider actual shear which is getting induced and additional shear due to torsion which is getting induced, that is equivalent shear, which we have studied. Actual bending moment and torsional bending moment respectively. The total vertical reinforcement is designed to resist the equivalent shear, that is VE, and longitudinal reinforcement is designed to resist the equivalent bending moment, that is ME1 and ME2 as explained. So how to design it, we will explain further. That's what I have said. So we have to consider equivalent bending moment in according to by adding normal bending moment with the bending moment which is getting induced by the torsion, and we have to find out longitudinal reinforcement. Vertical reinforcement can be found by adding the actual shear with torsional shear. So we'll move further. Equivalent shear and moment as per IS 456. So IS 456 clauses I am mentioning over here. To find out equivalent shear, that is VE, clause number 41.3.1 can be used. So there is an empirical formula which we can use to find out equivalent shear. So equivalent bending moment, that is ME1, can be found out by using the clause 41.4.2. 41.4.2. Again, there is another very important factor which is mentioned in IS 456 is critical section. So it is given in clause number 41.2 of IS 456. So as per clause 41.2 of IS 456, section located less than a distance D, means D means depth of the section, from a face of the support is to be designed for same torsion as computed at the distance D, where D is effective depth of the beam. So whenever any section is locating at the distance D from the face of the support, so in that case we have to consider the section is resting at a distance D, and then we have to compute the equivalent shear and bending moment. So this is a clause. So you can see clause number 41.3.1. So this is a screenshot of IS 456. So equivalent shear. Equivalent shear VE shall be calculated from the following formula. That is VE is equal to VU plus 1.6 TU divided by B. So what is VE? VE is equivalent shear. VU is regular normal shear which is getting induced. TU is torsional moment and B is breadth of the beam. The equivalent normal shear stresses, that is tau VE, in this case shall be calculated. So after calculating VE, we have to calculate the normal shear stresses which are going to induce, that is tau VE. In this case shall be calculated as given in table number 40.1, regular, that is a regular one. Expect for substituting VU by VE. So we have to consider VE for calculating tau VE by using clause number 40.1. The values of tau VE shall not exceed the values of tau C max given in table number 20. So it is very simple. Tau V should not be more than tau C max in earlier case. But in this case, what is going to happen? Sorry, we are not going to find out only tau V. We are going to find out tau VE. That is by considering this equivalent shear. That is by considering this equivalent shear. We are not going to consider it VE. So instead of E, we are going to substitute. Sorry, we are not going to consider VU. Instead of that, we are going to substitute VE. The value of tau VE shall not exceed tau C max. So that is given in table number 20. So as I have discussed in previous classes, while watching this video or while studying about this, you must be having IS 456 code with you to understand it betterly, so that you can open 40.1, so that you can open table number 20 and see what exactly is going to happen over there. Okay, so this is about equivalent shear. So these are the two clauses which are mentioned. Minimum shear reinforcement shall be provided according to clause number 26.5.1.6 of IS 456 if equivalent nominal shear stress tau VE obtained from equation that is the equation which I have given, does not exceed tau C. So if this equivalent shear is very small, the minimum reinforcement shall be provided according to this. Both longitudinal and transverse reinforcement shall be provided as per clause number 41.4 and explained below in section number 6.16.7. If tau VE exceeds tau C given in table number 19 of IS 456, so what they said, if tau VE exceeds tau C, we have to consider this tau VE for the calculation. Next, longitudinal reinforcement. Now we have studied about the equivalent shear. So now we are going to study about the longitudinal reinforcement calculation. So longitudinal reinforcement shall be designed to resist an equivalent bending, that is ME1, given by this equation mu plus mt. So mu is bending moment at any cross section, normal bending moment which we calculate. Mt is due to bending moment which is induced due to torsion, that is Tu into 1 plus capital D divided by B divided by 1.7. So this is about the consideration of longitudinal reinforcement and torsional reinforcement, how to consider those, which are the clauses which we have to use, and other things are given over here. So you can see further things we are going to study in the next class. So we are going to discuss about the examples on this in the next session. So make sure that while sitting for this class, you must be having IS 456 code. Thank you.